Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thanks for tuning in and welcome. There's a lot happening across the board right now. I mean, global pandemic, presidential election, $1 trillion stimulus packages. There's a lot. And this is a critical moment as an investor because all of these things that are happening are heavily affecting and influencing the price of precious metals. So you got to be on your A game. You cannot be slacking right now. You got to pay attention, and that's why it's so important to be subscribed to channels like mine that update you guys on a daily basis of the newest, latest stuff. Giving you guys the inside scoop on silver prices, what's happening, why they're being affected the way they are, and what you should do about it. So make sure you smash the like button. More importantly, make sure you're subscribed. You cannot be investing blindly during these times. You got to know what's going on. Context matters, and you got to definitely understand, the stuff behind it. Yes, I could tell you that silver is headed to $30, but why? You have to understand the why. So, this is one of the most interesting topics or questions that I've asked on this channel, and it's probably the most intriguing to me. Because looking forwards, this is going to be a question that could go many different ways, but it's extremely, the answer to this is extremely, or will be extremely important, especially as an investor that likes silver. So, silver and gold are two completely, entirely different metals used for entirely different things and entirely different reasons. Gold is a monetary metal. Silver is as well, but silver is also an industrial metal. Gold is not. Gold is used for coins, bars, jewelry, necklaces, earrings, rings, watches. Silver is used a little bit for that stuff, but mainly silver's demand, its uses, is in technology, laptops, cell phones. Even the medical world, there's colloidal silver, solar panels, all that types of stuff. So since they're used for such a polar opposite reason, I don't understand why the prices are so heavily correlated. And I keep saying on this channel, when is silver going to take on a life of its own? Eventually, it's going to have to, and just like the one time that people get a glimpse of this is when the economy's in good shape. When the economy's in good shape. You know why? Because since silver is a monetary and industrial metal, silver still benefits when the economy's in good shape. Because then that means there's products, laptops, there's stuff getting transported across the globe. And since silver is so intertwined into all this stuff, silver still benefits and flourishes. Gold only benefits when the economy's in bad shape, when people don't trust banks, don't trust governments, uncertainty. They go into safe haven metals like gold and silver. So silver is a win-win situation. Whether the economy's in bad or good shape, silver still has a unique advantage. My name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer, and I think you're starting to get the reasoning of that. So I found a couple articles. The first one is talking about if silver is ready to step out of gold's shadow, and the second one is talking about the role of gold in 2020. Both are very, very important things to look at. So I'm excited to show this video with you guys, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So having lurked under the imposing cover of Big Brother, gold for what seemed like an eternity, silver emerged from gold's shadow into the limelight in July as prices of both precious metals hit astounding heights. But it proved to be a brief escape, stymied in September by a risk-on mood across markets that also boosted arch-rival dollar, which became a haven of choice despite the gaping U.S. fiscal deficit and other economic ills from this pandemic. Gold tumbled and so did silver. However, with the dollar getting crushed over the past week and two metals taking off again on speculation that another virus stimulus might be on the light of the day before November 3rd, the question is, can silver forge its own path independent of gold? Yes, but not right away. So I'm glad that they're looking at this from this point of view as well, because this is the most important, the most relevant, I would say, thing that could affect or diverge these two metals. They talk about the dollar index, which is heavily correlated into precious metals. The stimulus, and even they use that S word, the S word that I hate, speculation. The precious metals and speculation should not be used in the same sentence together. You leave speculation for Bitcoin and stuff like that. Gold and silver have real intrinsic value. I don't see why the price of gold and silver should be so heavily influenced by someone's perception or a speculation or a rumor, a lie, a single tweet from Donald Trump, which could send markets flying in a different direction. It's not good. That's not healthy for precious metals. Should be based off of supply and demand. But anyways, that's a separate video. Let's get back on this. But yeah, they mention the age-old question: will silver find a path of its own? Yes, but not right away. At Wednesday's early highs in Asia trading, silver for December delivery on New York's COMEX got a near 2-week peak at $25.28 per ounce. Most analysts think that silver needs to get well beyond $25 to break new ground and stand on its own. And this is one of the theories that a lot of people think. I've even said this on my channel before. Silver needs proof in the pudding. Gold is the mascot. People understand that gold is valuable. It's the royal metal. It's the metal of kings. People understand that. So they know gold is valuable. Silver, on the other hand, silver is not very expensive. It's not really seen as royal. People more than likely think silver is valuable just because it's shiny or just because gold is. They don't understand that silver has a plethora of different reasons and advantages and things that are going to drive the price a lot higher in the future. People don't know this. They're not educated on this stuff. They don't know that silver is the most highly conductive metal. They don't know that. They don't know what the gold to silver ratio actually is. They don't know any of this stuff. They just assume that silver has some value because gold does, and they're close metals. That's quite the opposite. Like I said, my name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer. But if and when silver prices do start to gain momentum, the proof is in the pudding. Everyone wants a slice of the silver pie. Gold is the mascot, like I said. Gold drives investors in. Then investors hear about this cheaper, more affordable, also more opportunistic metal, which is silver, and then they usually transfer over. Industrial demand, a prerequisite. So metals tracker Christopher Lewis wrote in a blog on FX Empire, given enough time, you'll also have the question whether or not we're going to see industrial demand as well, which is a major influence on what happens with silver. And we know a lot of different things, but this is not a theory. That's why I'm so excited about the next 5 years. 5 years in particular, because we don't have to use a prediction. We don't have to go off of an educated guess. We know what's about to happen, which is rare, but the numbers don't lie. Silver demand is going to increase drastically over the next 5 years. Solar panels, 5G towers, electric vehicles, all moving revolutionary things that silver is so deeply intertwined in. It's going to affect the price. All of these, especially solar panels, if Biden wins, is going to drive a silver demand like we've never seen. But not only that, individual investors like you and I that want a slice of the silver pie is also going to be throwing our money into silver. And so silver's demand is going to take off. And this is stuff that silver, the keyword is silver here, silver demand. Gold isn't used in 5G. Gold isn't used in electric vehicles. Gold isn't used for solar panels. This is silver. So since silver has all this demand coming in, and it's a much smaller, more volatile market than gold, I don't see why gold would be benefiting from something that silver is to blame for. Silver needs to take credit. These two metals have to start taking on a life of its own. It doesn't make sense why they don't. So, and they even say, it's key for making silver independent. It's industrial usage. What happened in a July-August stretch was an aberration in the world of silver. As gold futures hit record highs at nearly $2,000, $90 an ounce, futures of silver saw a 55% jump, outperforming the hike in gold by 6 to 1. $11 in March, nearly $30 in August. Nothing is more volatile than silver. Nothing. Adding to the sudden spotlight on silver was the easing pandemic restrictions in the U.S. and elsewhere, which kickstarted the economic recovery. The nascent economic recovery in those 2 months gave the illusion that industrial demand for silver used in jewelry, cutlery, and coin minting was taking off. September's price crunch in precious metals, new spikes in this pandemic in U.S., Europe, and Asia, and a resulting slowdown in economic recovery shows silver nowhere near a revolution in industrial demand, let alone standing on its own without the cover of Big Brother Gold. So there's a lot of interesting things we could look at. First and foremost, silver demand is dependent upon big business or the individuals. Speculation has no seat, no place for gold and silver, but that's what we see is happening. People are starting to assume that silver demand is jumping earlier or without reason. They just assume that. They assume that Mexico and Peru being shut down from the pandemic is going to affect prices earlier than expected. They think that production is being shut down with a grinding demand earlier than expected without the numbers. When we talk about the numbers, this is stuff that hasn't really happened yet. We're starting to see the first consequences of this from these extremely high premiums. You're seeing American Eagles being sold for $30+ when they used to be sold $1 or $2 above spot price. That right there is the premium from a very scarce metal with a strong demand and a low supply. So with this, I want to pass the question on to you guys real quick. I want to start involving you guys more in my videos. I want to start involving my audience. You guys know so much. You guys probably know more than I do. I'm sure you guys, a lot of you, honestly know more than I do about precious metals. I just like sharing, my perspective on it. I just like sharing what I think, is going on and where I think the prices will head. But what do you think about this? When is silver going to take on a life of its own, and what would have to happen? When will the gold to silver ratio almost be essentially irrelevant to determine whether silver or gold is the better buy? When will the gold to silver ratio not be a tool that's so heavily correlated, because these are two different markets? When is stock market volatility going to have less of a pull on the prices? Dollar index always will. That's a given. But stock market volatility, things like this, speculation, rumors, tweets from Donald Trump shouldn't be affecting the price of silver as much as it does. It should be simply how much comes out of the ground, how much people are paying for it. It's supply and demand. So anyways, they're looking at, this is now we're breaking down to the chart side of things. 50-day EMA is key. So current trajectory, let's kind of glance over this. I'm not really too fond on all this chart stuff, but I still got to get to the second article. But anyways, saying the moving average for silver is $24.77. So say the psychological handle of gold at $1,900 also broke above previous resistance, and they're talking about further news on stimulus may boost the rally. $1,955 to $1,968. Silver has crucial support at 24, broke above 25, which signals strength towards 26, 20, almost $27. So we have to see this EMA at 24.50. So this is a very important time. Very important time. So should stimulus negotiations reach an impasse, the ensuing sell-off in equity markets will test gold's resolve. And that's definitely true. Recent sell-offs by equity markets have also seen gold prices crushed as well. So we have yet to see evidence that gold can stand on its own 2 feet as a haven or safe haven asset in the scenario in recent times. That tells how well silver is positioned, which is not very strong looking at it from that point of view, because if gold is dependent upon equities and other things, and silver is dependent on gold, then silver is really hanging on with strings attached. But that's looking at it from one perspective. That's not looking at the perfect storm. That's not looking at the stars aligning. There are so many different angles to look at this from. If you tweak a couple of those words or tweak a couple of those situations or outcomes or numbers, then the tables could be completely turned. There's so many different things that are affecting precious metals, and our job is to try to, or at least try to, figure out what has the biggest pull and what doesn't. What had the biggest pull last year or a couple of years ago is much different than now, and just like that for the future. So we can't use the same principles, the same tools, the same mind state investing nowadays as we used to, because things are ever changing. Stock market volatility had a different pull on precious metals prices back 5 years ago than it does today, and it will in 5 years from now. Dollar index will have different pull. Speculation will. Everything will. And we need to learn how to adjust and adapt accordingly to these times, especially with so much happening, this election right around the corner and a global pandemic. We got to stay on our A game, like I was saying in the beginning of the video. So what is the role of gold in 2020? Great question. Great question. Is gold's rally simply a response to the perception of currency policies? And this makes this question so much more interesting because gold broke its all-time high ever during the year 2020. In our recent discussion, veteran trader Jack called the current environment the perfect storm for gold due to the Fed and the economy. CME Group senior economist Eric Norland noted that gold is a monetary phenomenon and reflects both Fed and other global central bank policies. My contention is that gold buoyancy is reflected on a couple of things. At a glance, the rise in gold is due to the perfect storm. And I say that with silver as well. Gold rallied 30% in 2020, is up on a staggering 600% since 2000. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar is down 10%, and that's not coincidentally. March 23rd was the day that Federal Reserve announced its plan for unlimited quantitative easing, or also called QE, in response to the economic collapse, and that's when things went haywire. So the dollar's real strength, this is interesting because this pandemic definitely exposed a lot of the truth about America, how much or how wealthy we really are. And that's dangerous because a lot of people are opting out of the U.S. dollar being the world reserve currency. And remember, fiat currency doesn't have intrinsic value. So if people start to think that the U.S. dollar isn't worth much, it's literally not worth much. The dollar is based off how much people think it's worth. There is no real value behind it or backing it. Historically, and let me stop real quick. Let me add on another point right there. America technically is still the wealthiest because we own the most gold in the world. So if you want to look at it from a literal standpoint, we are the wealthiest because we have the most gold. But from a pen and paper standpoint, people aren't looking at the gold. They're looking at it from a dollar term. We're $27 trillion in debt, and it's growing faster every day. So historically, currency markets frown on elevated debt loads. The dollar index has been the traditional measure of the dollar strength for many years, despite serious flaws. So they keep talking about debts of these different countries and how gold can affect this. But I like right here. It says, particularly gold should be front and center. Gold is often a market worth watching. With the uncertainty seen as in 2020 and the policy responses to that uncertainty, that remains especially true now. So more than ever, things are going to be more exaggerated, more influential, and to a higher degree, especially as we move deeper into these monetary policies, trillion-dollar stimulus packages. Instead of $1 billion in 2008, we saw $1 billion. Now it's $1 trillion. Especially whoever wins the election is going to throw up another number. And there's going to be a lot of consequence, right? That money is coming from somewhere, so we have to look at the whole picture. We have to look at play the tape all the way through. Yes, right now it sounds good to be throwing a whole bunch of money to people, but where's that money coming from, and what's it gonna do when it catches up to us, right? See where I'm going with that? Anyways, anyways, I thought this was a great video. I thought this video covered a lot of the stuff, the relevant stuff happening in today's time with precious metals, gold and silver. And I hope you guys have a better overall perspective on the markets and what to do, right? Like I said, my name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer. Gold and silver both are the safest, smartest alternatives to the dollar, so you really can't go wrong. I just bought a whole crap load of silver yesterday. I spent a lot of money on silver yesterday, probably too much, but I don't know why. Sometimes you're just sitting there and you're looking on AppMex or something, you just see a coin, or you're on eBay and you just see a coin. The coin is like calling your name, and you're like, I shouldn't, but you do it, and you feel so good afterwards. And now you're excited to wait. You're looking at the mail, checking the tracking number every 5 minutes. Well, I did that 3 different times yesterday, and actually the first time was a couple days ago. So I have 4 different packages of silver coming in the mail, and that was just purely out of finding really, really, really good deals on these coins, and I cannot wait to show you guys. But also, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because someone's just happening. I'm trying to get good positioning, and since there's so many deals going on, especially with the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I just cannot pass up a good deal, especially on some coins that I know are going to do extremely well in the future. But that's a whole separate video in itself, so stay tuned. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe for new. This was Silver Slayer. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.